as Argentina's economy shrinks again. Let's bring in Iñaki Martínez Soria, a political analyst and founder of eWire, to get his on-the-ground take of what's happening. It's good to see you again. It's been just a short time since we chatted about the situation going on there. Now, really, no one thought that Argentina was going to breeze back into a wonderful economic revival very quickly. But what about this latest measure? What does it say about the president's austerity moves, and how is Milei tackling high inflation, currency depreciation, as well as the ongoing soaring interest rates?
Good evening, Sean. Certainly good to see you again. Thank you for having me. As you say, I would argue that the current effects of the austerity measures were expected, but also I think that one has to be optimistic, because if you're looking where we were coming from in the past, which was certainly economic catastrophe, we were heading towards that, and of course, the Argentine public is feeling the effects of a very ambitious fiscal correction program that was certainly to cause an even greater and deeper economic slowdown. But actually, it is important to note that all these figures, it's like looking, on the mirror, on the back mirror in the car. All these figures are from May, from June. Some private consultancy firms have begun to track some early indicators of economic recovery. When you look at the trade balance, right, it registered a seventh consecutive surplus of 1.5 billion. That brings in total 12.6 billion for 2024. Inflation is still lowering from a 30-year high in December of 25.5%. We have a new low, 4% in July. So there are some encouraging signs. Of course, the slowdown is felt the most by the middle class, which is the one with the least instruments to confront such a deep recession. But I think that Argentina is slowly turning into a new growth phase. The IMF just recently released its figures.
Let's talk just a bit about that, because the IMF is backing President Milei's austerity measures. But again, wondering, are they working? Because the external debt and those issues are compounding what is just a tough situation. I know that you need to be optimistic and give it time. Yeah. But how long can consumers continue to go through this?
Well, I think in this sense, Sean, the answer is not economical. It is political. It is very important to note that Argentina is going to face midterm elections around August, September, October next year. That certainly generates incentives for the administration to sort of put in place certain economic expansive measures in order to generate the feeling that the economy is growing, that everything is improving. So I think that the government is essentially taking advantage of the time it still has towards the election to do, as we call here, the dirty job, to cleanse the accounts, to reduce the size of the state, and see if that works to bring real growth towards the economy. It is also imperative to note that foreign investors are wary of Argentina. They've already gone through these reform and pro-business administrations in the past years, and Argentina sort of finds its way back to fiscal irresponsibility. So I think that the foreign investors, and particularly the institutional investors, are waiting to see how politically sustainable these reforms, this administration is, in order to start bringing the big funds into Argentina. So I guess that
if I'm not mistaken, domestic oil and gas production is improving. So talk about that, and also talk about regional trade issues. We don't have a lot of time, but that seems to be somewhat of a positive light right now.
Yeah, that's right. Argentina has the second largest shale gas, non-conventional gas resource in the world, the fourth largest in terms of oil. The largest oil company in Argentina, YPF, is majority state-owned. We're seeing huge investments into that sector. Just recently, it was announced the final decision in terms of location for a massive gas liquefaction plant, which will be built in the province of Rio Negro. And it is even more important considering the global scenario, the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine that threatens gas supply to Europe and other parts of the world. So oil and gas productions will certainly be one of the huge drivers in the Argentine economy moving forward. It has already been through the last couple of years, but these will deepen. Of course, there are some interesting perspectives in mining as well.
Right.
In terms of foreign trade, we're currently facing, I mean, in general, investors, in general, the general public even was expecting an even greater depreciation of the peso. And in relative terms, in real terms, the peso has become sort of a strong currency. It is becoming, right, in relative terms.
Yeah.
So trade, it's becoming a little bit disadvantageous for Argentina, even more so considering that the international price of commodities, particularly agricultural goods, have dropped significantly. Lowest levels since 2006 for the soy, for example. So that brings around 4.5 billion less in the balance of trade surplus than expected previously.
That the country needs. You know, it's a tough situation. It's like ripping the band off every day. Iñaki, I know it's ongoing. I'm sure we're going to talk to you again down the line. Iñaki Martínez Soria, always a pleasure to get your insight on the ground there in South America. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.